The crystal vase shattered before Sofia Chen could even gasp. One moment she'd been dusting the mahogany table in the sunroom of the Castellano estate, her cloth moving in careful circles around the priceless antiques that filled every corner of the Chicago mansion. The next moment, her elbow had caught the edge of the vase 18th century Venetian glass. Mrs. Castellano had mentioned once, worth more than Sofia made in 6 months, and it was falling, exploding against the marble floor in 1,000 glittering pieces. Time stopped. Sofia's heart plummeted into her stomach as she stared at the wreckage. Shards of cobalt blue glass spread across the white marble like an accusation, like evidence of her carelessness, like the end of everything she'd worked so hard to build. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. No. She dropped to her knees. Immediately, hands shaking as she tried to gather the pieces. Maybe she could fix it. Maybe if she collected every fragment, found someone who could restore it, maybe Mrs. Castellano would understand. Maybe she wouldn't lose this job. Maybe. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. What the hell did you just do? The voice cut through her panic like a blade. Sofia looked up to find Marcus Castellano standing in the doorway, his expensive suit jacket slung over one shoulder, his face twisted with an expression somewhere between disbelief and rage. Marcus, the golden son, 28 years old with his father's money and his mother's looks and absolutely none of their redeeming qualities. Sofia had learned within her first week working at the estate to stay invisible when Marcus was home, to clean his rooms when he was out, to never, ever give him a reason to notice her. She'd just given him a reason. Mr. Castellano, I'm so sorry, Sofia stammered, still on her knees, glass cutting into her palms as she tried frantically to gather the pieces. It was an accident. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it? Marcus laughed, a harsh sound that made her flinch. He walked into the sunroom, his Italian leather shoes crunching over the glass. That vase is worth $40,000. You think your pathetic maid salary is going to cover that? $40,000. Sofia felt dizzy. That was more than a year of her wages, more than she could save in 5 years, even if she didn't eat, didn't pay rent, didn't buy medicine for Lily. Please, she whispered, hating how small her voice sounded. Please, Mr. Castellano. It was an accident. I've worked here for 2 years. I've never broken anything before. I'll work extra hours. You'll what? Marcus crouched down, getting in her face. She could smell expensive cologne in the scotch. He'd probably been drinking since noon. You'll work harder? You'll grovel? You'll beg me not to fire you? Sofia's hands trembled so badly she dropped the glass shards she'd been collecting. They scattered across the floor again, and she felt tears burning behind her eyes. She couldn't lose this job. The Castellano estate paid better than any other housekeeping position in Chicago. The health insurance covered Lily's medication. If she lost this, I'm begging you, she said quietly. Please don't fire me. I need this job. My sister, she's sick, and I'm the only one who can. I don't care about your sob story. Marcus stood up, looking down at her with contempt. You know what your problem is? People like you think you can just come into homes like this, touch things you could never afford, break priceless family heirlooms, and then cry your way out of consequences. It was an accident, Sofia repeated, but her voice was barely audible now. Stand up. She stood on shaking legs, bits of glass still clinging to her uniform. Around them, the sunroom felt too bright, too exposed. Through the windows, she could see the manicured gardens, the fountain, the hedge maze, a world of beauty and wealth that she cleaned but would never belong to. Marcus stepped closer, too close. Sofia could see the coldness in his blue eyes, could feel the anger radiating off him in waves. Do you know how many people would kill for a job like this? He asked softly. How many competent, careful people who wouldn't destroy $40,000 antiques? I know. I'm sorry. His hand moved so fast she didn't see it coming. The slap caught her across the cheek with enough force to snap her head to the side. Pain exploded through her face, sharp and stunning. She stumbled backward, her hip hitting the edge of the table. For a moment, Sofia just stood there, one hand pressed to her burning cheek, unable to process what had just happened. He'd hit her. Marcus Castellano had actually hit her. Maybe that'll teach you to be more careful, Marcus said, his voice still calm, still controlled. like he'd done nothing more than swat a fly. Sofia's eyes filled with tears. Not from the pain, though her cheek throbbed. Not from the humiliation, though she felt it burning through her chest. But from the horrible, familiar feeling of helplessness, of being small and powerless and completely at someone else's mercy. She'd felt this before. Years ago, with her father, before he'd died and left her and Lily alone. The unpredictable violence, the casual cruelty, the knowledge that fighting back would only make it worse. "Please," Sofia heard herself say, her voice breaking. She hated herself for it, hated the pleading tone, hated that she was about to beg this entitled monster not to hurt her again. "Please don't hit me again. I'll clean this up. I'll fix it. Just please. What's going on here?" The new voice was quiet, calm, but something in its tone made both Sofia and Marcus freeze. A man stood in the archway leading from the main hall. Sofia had never seen him before, but she knew instantly that he was dangerous. Not in the volatile, unpredictable way Marcus was dangerous. This was something else entirely. Something controlled and cold and infinitely more terrifying. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair swept back from a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, eyes so dark they were nearly black. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, and he stood with the kind of stillness that made Sofia think of predators, of things that didn't need to move fast because their prey was already caught. "Mr. Moretti." Marcus's voice had changed completely. The arrogance was still there, but underneath it now was something else. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. "I didn't realize you were still here." Obviously. The man Moretti walked into the sunroom, his eyes moving from Marcus to Sofia to the shattered glass on the floor. His expression never changed, but Sofia felt his attention settle on her like a weight. "What happened to your face?" It took Sofia a moment to realize he was talking to her. Her voice came out as a rasp. She cleared her throat, touching her cheek gingerly. It was probably already starting to bruise. "I broke something. A vase. It was an accident." "And that gave him the right to hit you?" The question was directed at her, but Moretti's eyes were on Marcus. The younger man shifted uncomfortably. "Now hold on," Marcus said, his voice taking on a defensive edge. "She destroyed a $40,000 antique. She needs to understand that actions have consequences." Consequences. Moretti repeated the word slowly, like he was tasting it. Interesting choice of words. He moved closer, and Sofia found herself taking an instinctive step back. But Moretti wasn't looking at her anymore. His full attention was on Marcus, and even from 3 feet away, it could feel the temperature in the room drop. "Let me tell you about consequences, Marcus," Moretti said softly. "Your father invited me here today to discuss a business arrangement. A very lucrative arrangement that would benefit the Castellano family considerably. Do you know what that arrangement was?" Marcus's face had gone pale. "I don't see what that has to do with." "Your father wants to partner with my organization to develop the waterfront properties near Navy Pier. $60 million in initial investment. Another $100 million over the next 5 years. Moretti's voice remained conversational, almost pleasant. "But that deal requires trust. It requires me to believe that the Castellano family understands how to treat people. All people. Even the ones who clean their houses." She broke. "I don't care what she broke." For the first time, Moretti's voice hardened. "You put your hands on someone who couldn't fight back. Someone who depends on your family for her livelihood. That tells me everything I need to know about your character, Marcus." The silence that followed was suffocating. Sofia stood frozen, hardly daring to breathe. She didn't understand what was happening, didn't understand who this man was, or why he was defending her. But she understood power, and Moretti had it in a way that made Marcus's wealth and privilege look like toys. "Mr. Moretti," Marcus tried again, his voice tight. "With all due respect, apologize to her." Marcus blinked. "What?" "You heard me." Moretti's expression hadn't changed, but something in his eyes promised violence if his words weren't obeyed. "Apologize. Now." For a long moment, Marcus just stared at him. Sofia could see the war playing out on his face, pride versus self-preservation, arrogance versus fear. Finally, fear won. "I apologize," Marcus bit out, not looking at Sofia. "It was inappropriate. Look at her when you say it." Marcus's jaw clenched so hard Sofia thought she heard his teeth grind, but he turned to face her, his blue eyes burning with humiliation and rage. "I apologize for hitting you," he said. each word clearly painful. It won't happen again. Sofia nodded mutely, not trusting herself to speak. Now leave, Moretti said. I need to speak with your father about whether our business arrangement is still viable. Given what I just witnessed, I have significant doubts. Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, his hands clenched into fists at his sides, his face flushed with anger. But after a moment, he turned and stalked out of the sunroom, his footsteps echoing down the marble hallway. Leaving Sofia alone with the stranger who'd just defended her, Moretti turned his attention to her fully for the first time, and Sofia fought the urge to run. His dark eyes moved over her face, cataloging the injury, the tears she was trying to hold back, the way she was trembling despite her best efforts to stay composed. Are you hurt? He asked. His voice was gentler now, but no less intense. I'm fine. The lie came automatically. Sofia had spent years learning how to hide pain, how to smile through anything. Thank you for what you did. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. Moretti pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, actual fabric, monogrammed, the kind of thing Sofia had only seen in old movies, and offered it to her. Your cheek is bleeding. Sofia touched her face and her fingers came away red. The glass must have cut her when Marcus hit her. She hadn't even felt it through the adrenaline and fear. She took the handkerchief with shaking hands and pressed it to her cheek. The fabric was soft, expensive. She'd probably get blood on it. Would he want it back? Should she offer to wash it first? What's your name? Moretti asked. Sofia. Sofia Chen. How long have you worked here, Sofia? 2 years. Almost 2 years exactly. She didn't know why she was answering him, didn't know why his calm, steady presence was making her want to tell him. Everything about Lily, about the medical bills, about how she'd taken this job because the Castellanos' health insurance was the only way to afford her sister's treatment. And has this happened before? Has Marcus or anyone else in this family put their hands on you? No, never. Mrs. Castellano is kind. Mr. Castellano barely notices I exist. It's just Marcus who... Sofia trailed off, unsure how to finish that sentence. Who believes his money gives him the right to hurt people? It wasn't a question. Moretti said it like a fact, like he'd seen 1,000 Marcus Castellanos in his life and knew exactly what they were. I should clean this up, Sofia said, gesturing weakly at the shattered glass. Before Mrs. Castellano sees, she'll be upset about the vase. Leave it. But leave it, Sofia. Moretti's voice was firm. You're bleeding. You've been assaulted. Cleaning up glass is the last thing you should be doing right now. Assaulted. The word made it real in a way Sofia hadn't allowed herself to acknowledge. Marcus had hit her, had put his hands on her in anger. That was assault, wasn't it? Not just an employer disciplining an employee, but an actual crime. Except men like Marcus didn't face consequences for crimes against people like her. I need this job, Sofia whispered, the words spilling out before she could stop them. My sister, she's 16. She has lupus. The medication costs thousands every month, and the Castellanos insurance covers it. If I lose this job, I lose the insurance. If I lose the insurance... She couldn't finish. Couldn't say out loud what would happen to Lily without her medication. Moretti was quiet for a moment, studying her face. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. Heavy stock, simple black lettering. Alessandro Moretti, Moretti Holdings. A phone number. Nothing else. Take this, he said, pressing the card into her hand. If anyone in this house threatens you again, if Marcus comes near you, if you need anything at all, you call that number. Do you understand? Sofia stared at the card, her mind racing. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Let's just say I don't like bullies. Something dark flickered in Moretti's eyes. And I especially don't like men who think money gives them the right to hurt people who can't defend themselves. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy, measured. A moment later, an older man appeared in the archway, tall, silver-haired, with the same blue eyes as Marcus, but without the cruelty. Antonio Castellano, Sofia's employer. He took in the scene, the shattered vase, Sofia's bleeding cheek, his son nowhere to be seen, and Alessandro Moretti standing in the middle of it all with an expression that promised consequences. Alessandro, Antonio said carefully. I heard there was some kind of incident. Your son assaulted one of your employees. Moretti's voice was cold. In front of me, over a broken vase. Antonio's face tightened. For a moment, Sofia saw genuine anger flash in his eyes, whether at Marcus or at the situation, she couldn't tell. Sofia, Antonio said, his voice heavy with something that might have been regret. Are you all right? She nodded, not trusting her voice. Take the rest of the day off, paid. And take tomorrow as well. I'll have a doctor come by to check that cut. He paused, then added quietly, I'm sorry this happened. Marcus will be dealt with. Thank you, Mr. Castellano. Antonio turned to Moretti. Alessandro, perhaps we could continue our discussion in my study? Perhaps. Moretti's tone suggested he had no intention of continuing any discussion, that the Castellanos' business opportunity had just evaporated like morning dew, though I think we both know our arrangement requires reconsideration. Antonio's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Of course. I understand. He left, his footsteps fading down the hallway, leaving Sofia alone with Moretti once more. I meant what I said, Moretti told her, his dark eyes intense. You call if you need anything. And Sofia? Yes? You won't lose your job over this. I'll make sure of it. Before she could ask how he could possibly guarantee that, he was gone, moving silently down the hallway, leaving her standing in the sunroom, surrounded by shattered glass and wondering what had just happened. Who was Alessandro Moretti? And why did a man with that much power, that much presence, care about a maid he'd never met before? Sofia looked down at the business card in her hand, at the blood staining the handkerchief, at the cobalt shards still glittering on the marble floor. Something had shifted. Some fundamental truth about her life had just changed, though she couldn't quite name what it was. All she knew was that when Alessandro Moretti had looked at her, she'd felt seen for the first time in years. Not as a servant or a burden or someone to be dismissed, but as a person, someone who mattered, and that terrified her almost, as much as Marcus's violence had. Sofia didn't go home. She should have. Mr. Castellano had given her the rest of the day off, told her to rest, to get her face looked at, but going home meant facing Lily, meant explaining the bruise that was already darkening on her cheek, meant watching her little sister's face crumble with worry they couldn't afford. So instead, Sofia sat on a bench in Millennium Park, watching tourists take photos in front of Cloudgate while the October wind cut through her thin jacket. The handkerchief Alessandro Moretti had given her was still pressed against her cheek. The bleeding had stopped, but the cut stung, and her whole face throbbed with each heartbeat. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Coming home for dinner? I'm making pasta. Sofia's heart clenched. Lily shouldn't be cooking. She should be resting, conserving her energy, not standing over a hot stove trying to take care of her older sister. But that was Lily, 16 years old, and determined to contribute somehow, to not be a burden, even though she could barely walk some days when the lupus flared up. Working late, Sofia texted back. Eat without me. Love you. The lie tasted bitter, but it was easier than the truth. She pulled out the business card Moretti had given her, studying it in the fading afternoon light. Alessandro Moretti, Moretti Holdings. The name sounded familiar, though she couldn't place where she'd heard it before. Sofia opened her phone and typed the name into Google. The results made her blood run cold. Alessandro Moretti, Chicago's most powerful developer or crime boss. Moretti Holdings under federal investigation for money laundering. The Moretti family, Chicago's open secret article after article, some from legitimate news sources, others from tabloids and true crime blogs. They all painted the same picture. Alessandro Moretti was the head of one of Chicago's most powerful organized crime families. Real estate development was his legitimate face, but underneath ran a network of illegal gambling, loan sharking, protection rackets, and God knew what else. The man who had defended her, who had made Marcus apologize, who had given her his card and told her to call if she needed help, was a mafia boss. Sofia felt sick. She should throw the card away. Should forget this ever happened. Should go back to being invisible, to keeping her head down and her mouth shut and surviving one day at a time. But as she sat there in the October cold, her cheek throbbing and her future uncertain, Sofia found herself putting the card carefully back in her pocket. 3 days passed. Sofia returned to work on Friday morning, her bruise hidden under carefully applied concealer that Lily had insisted on doing for her. You look like you got hit by a truck, her sister had said, her thin fingers gentle on Sofia's face. What really happened? I walked into a cabinet, Sofia had lied. I'm just clumsy. Lily hadn't believed her. Sofia could see it in her eyes. But her sister was smart enough not to push, smart enough to know that sometimes the truth was more dangerous than comfortable lies. The Castellano estate felt different when Sofia arrived. The usual morning chaos, Mrs. Castellano giving instructions to the gardeners, the cook preparing breakfast, the other household staff moving through their routines, was subdued. Tense. Maria, the other maid, pulled Sofia aside in the hallway. "Are you crazy?" Maria whispered in rapid Spanish. "Coming back here after what happened? Marcus is furious. He's been in a rage for 3 days. His father actually yelled at him. In front of guests. The whole house heard it." Sofia's stomach twisted. What did Mr. Castellano say? That Marcus embarrassed the family. That he cost them a $160 million development deal with the Morettis. That if he ever lays hands on staff again, he'll be cut off completely. Maria grabbed Sofia's arm. "You need to stay away from him. Far away. He blames you for everything." "I didn't do anything. I just broke a vase. Doesn't matter. Men like Marcus always need someone to blame." Maria glanced down the hallway nervously. "Just be careful, okay? And maybe start looking for another job. This house isn't safe for you anymore." Sofia nodded, her mouth dry. She'd been thinking the same thing, lying awake at night weighing her options. But every job listing she'd found paid less, offered worse insurance, required qualifications she didn't have. The Castellano position had been a miracle: high pay, full benefits, stable hours. Finding another job like it was impossible. She was trapped. The morning passed in a haze of cleaning and anxiety. Sofia worked in the parts of the house Marcus never visited: the guest wing, the conservatory, the staff quarters. She moved like a ghost, trying to be even more invisible than usual. But at noon, her luck ran out. Sofia was cleaning the library, dusting the endless rows of leather-bound books that no one in the Castellano family had probably ever read, when she heard footsteps behind her, heavy, deliberate, angry. She turned to find Marcus standing in the doorway, blocking her exit. He'd clearly been drinking. She could smell the alcohol from across the room, could see the unsteady way he swayed slightly on his feet. Well, Marcus said, his voice slurred and venomous. "The little maid who destroyed my life." Sofia's hand tightened on the feather duster. "Excuse me, Mr. Castellano. I was just finishing." "Finishing? You're just getting started." He stepped into the library, closing the door behind him. The click of the latch sounded impossibly loud. "Do you have any idea what you cost me? My father is threatening to cut me off. The Moretti deal is dead, all because you had to go crying to that mobster." "I didn't say anything to Mr. Moretti. He saw what happened. He saw you seduce me with your victim act." Marcus moved closer, and Sofia backed up until she hit the bookshelf. Poor helpless Sofia, getting hit for being incompetent. "Well, guess what? You don't get to ruin my life and walk away." Fear coursed through Sofia's veins, sharp and electric. "Your father said—" "My father isn't here. He's at the office. My mother is at her charity luncheon. The cook went to the market. It's just you and me, Sofia." His smile was cruel. "And I think you owe me an apology. On your knees. Please." The word came out as a whisper. "Please, Mr. Castellano. I'll leave. I'll quit. Just let me go." "Oh, you'll quit. But not before I teach you what happens to people who cost me money." He lunged. Sofia tried to run, but Marcus was faster than his drunken state suggested. His hand caught her arm, yanking her back with enough force to send pain shooting through her shoulder. She stumbled, crashed into a side table, sent a lamp crashing to the floor. "Please!" Sofia screamed, genuine terror flooding through her. "Please don't hit me again, please!" Marcus's. The fist was already raised, his face twisted with rage, and something worse, satisfaction. He was enjoying this, enjoying her fear. The library door exploded inward. It didn't open. It exploded, the lock shattering as the door slammed against the wall with a sound like a gunshot. 2 men in dark suits burst through, moving with military precision. Behind them, calm and terrifying, walked Alessandro Moretti. His dark eyes took in the scene instantly. Sofia pressed against the bookshelf, Marcus with his fist raised, the broken lamp, the fear written across her face. Moretti's expression didn't change, but something in the air shifted, like the moment before lightning strikes. "Get away from her." His voice was quiet, conversational, and absolutely deadly. Marcus froze, his hand still raised. Color drained from his face as he recognized Moretti, as he understood what his presence here meant. "This is my house." Marcus tried, but his voice cracked. "You have no right to—" "I said get away from her." This time, Moretti's voice carried an edge that made even Sofia flinch. It was the sound of a man who didn't make threats, just promises. Marcus stepped back, his hands dropping to his sides. I wasn't going to... You were just threatening an employee. Again, in direct violation of what your father explicitly told you not to do. Moretti walked past Marcus like he was furniture, moving directly to Sofia. Are you hurt? She shook her head mutely, not trusting her voice. Moretti's eyes moved over her face, cataloging every detail. Then he turned to his men. Take Mr. Castellano to the living room. Make sure he stays there until his father arrives. I've already called him. You can't just... Marcus started, but one of Moretti's men grabbed his arm with a grip that made the younger man wince. Move, the man said flatly. They hauled Marcus out of the library, leaving Sofia alone with Alessandro Moretti for the second time in 3 days. How did you know? Sofia whispered, her voice shaking. How did you know I was in trouble? I've had someone watching the house since Tuesday. Moretti said it like it was obvious. Like assigning bodyguards to protect a maid he'd met once was perfectly normal. When Marcus came home drunk and the other staff left for various errands, my man called me. I was in the area. You were. Watching me? Protecting you, he corrected gently. There's a difference. Sofia's mind was racing, trying to process what he was saying. Why? Why would you do that? Because men like Marcus don't change. They apologize when forced to, then wait for opportunities to retaliate. Moretti stepped closer, and Sofia had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. I knew he'd come after you again. I wasn't going to let that happen. But I'm no one, just a maid. You don't even know me. Something flickered in Moretti's dark eyes. You're not no one, Sofia. And I know enough. Enough about what? Enough to know you're working yourself to death to take care of your sister. Enough to know you've been at the Castellano estate for 2 years without a single complaint or incident. Enough to know that when Marcus hit you, you didn't fight back, or make a scene or threaten to sue you, just begged him not to do it again. His voice softened slightly. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. Sofia felt tears burning behind her eyes. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand why you care. I care because someone should. Moretti pulled out his phone. I'm calling your employer. You're not working here anymore. No! Panic seized Sofia's chest. No, please, I need this job. I need the insurance. Your sister will have better insurance. What? If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything, and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Moretti was already dialing. Antonio, it's Alessandro. We have a problem. Yes, I'm at your house. Your son just attempted to assault Sofia Chen again. I don't care what you told him. He didn't listen. No, she's fine. My people got here in time. But she's done working for you. That's not negotiable, Antonio. Either you let her resign with a severance package that includes 12 months of continued health insurance coverage, or I make sure every business partner you have knows exactly what kind of family the Castellanos really are. Your choice. He listened for a moment, his expression never changing. Good. I thought you'd see reason. I'll have my lawyers draw up the paperwork. Sofia will come by tomorrow to collect her things and sign the documents. No, she won't be pressing charges. But if Marcus comes within 100 feet of her ever again, I won't be so generous next time. He ended the call and looked at Sofia, who was staring at him in shock. 12 months of health insurance, he said, plus 3 months severance pay. You'll sign the papers tomorrow and you'll never have to see Marcus Castellano again. I don't have another job, Sofia whispered. How am I supposed to pay rent? Buy food? How? You'll work for me. The words hung in the air between them. What? You need a job. I need someone I can trust to manage my household staff at my primary residence. The position pays twice what the Castellanos were paying you, includes full health benefits better than what they offered, and you'll have your own apartment on the property. Your sister can live there too if she wants. Private, safe, fully accessible for someone with mobility issues. Sofia felt like she was drowning. Why would you offer me that? Because you're competent, trustworthy, and you deserve better than working for people who let their son terrorize you. Moretti's voice was matter of fact, and because I take care of people under my protection. I never asked to be under your protection. No, but you are anyway. The certainty in his voice should have terrified her, should have sent her running, But Sofia found herself thinking about Marcus's raised fist, about the fear that had paralyzed her, about how close she'd come to being hurt, really hurt with no one to help her. And she thought about Alessandro Moretti, appearing like some dark, avenging angel, making sure she was safe before he'd even asked if she was okay. "I don't understand you," Sofia said quietly. Everyone says you're dangerous, that you're involved in—" "I am dangerous," Moretti interrupted. "I'm involved in things that would horrify you if you knew the details. I'm not a good man, Sofia, but I'm a man who keeps his word. And I'm telling you now, work for me, and you'll be safe. You and your sister. No one will touch you. No one will threaten you. You'll have security, stability, and a future. And what do you get out of it?" He smiled faintly, something almost sad in his eyes. Peace of mind, knowing that someone who didn't deserve what happened to her doesn't have to be afraid anymore. Sofia wanted to say no, wanted to walk away from this dangerous man and his dangerous world, and find some other solution. But as she stood there in the library, her arms still aching from where Marcus had grabbed her, her future hanging by a thread, she couldn't deny the truth. Alessandro Moretti was offering her exactly what she needed most. Safety. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll work for you." "Good." He pulled out another business card, this one different, with an address printed below his name. "This is where you'll be living. I'll have my people help you move your things this weekend. In the meantime, take a few days off. Rest. Spend time with your sister. Make sure she's comfortable with the change. When do I start?" "Monday, if that works for you." Monday. In 4 days, her entire life would be different. She'd be working for a mafia boss, living on his property, under his protection. It should terrify her. Instead, all Sofia felt was relief. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything, for stopping Marcus, for the job, for— don't thank me yet." Moretti's dark eyes held hers. "You don't know me, Sofia. You don't know what my world is like. And once you're in it, once you're under my protection, there's no easy way out." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning." He moved toward the door, then paused and looked back. "But it's also a promise. While you're mine to protect, nothing and no one will hurt you. Not Marcus Castellano. Not anyone." Then he was gone, his men following silently behind him, leaving Sofia alone in the library surrounded by broken glass and shattered certainties. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and texted Lily. "I have news. Good news. I'll be home soon. We need to talk." As she left the Castellano estate for what might be the last time, Sofia couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just made a deal she didn't fully understand. But for the first time in years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. The apartment above Moretti's garage was nicer than anywhere Sofia had ever lived. She stood in the middle of the living room on Saturday afternoon, watching movers carry in the few possessions she and Lily owned, and tried to process the sudden shift in her reality. Hardwood floors, crown molding, a kitchen with granite counters and appliances that actually worked, 2 bedrooms, 2 each with their own bathroom, floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked a garden that looked like something from a magazine. "This is insane," Lily breathed beside her. Her sister had insisted on coming despite the wheelchair, despite her exhaustion. She needed to see where they were going to live. "Sofia, this place is huge." "It's temporary," Sofia said, though she wasn't sure if she was trying to convince Lily or herself. "Just until we figure things out." "Temporary." Lily gave her a look. "Right. Because mob bosses usually offer temporary housing to the maids they randomly rescue." "He's not. I don't know what he is." Sofia rubbed her temples. She'd been up all night trying to explain the situation to Lily, trying to make it sound less insane than it was. "I got a new job. My boss is very wealthy. He's offering us a place to stay." "No, I don't know why." "Yes, I'm sure it's safe." The lies had tasted like ash. "He's Alessandro Moretti," Lily said flatly. "I Googled him." "So did you? Don't look at me like that. He's literally the head of the Chicago mob. The FBI has been investigating him for years. There are 3 different true crime podcasts about his family. He saved me from Marcus, twice. And now you're working for him. Living in his house. Under his— what did you call it? His protection?" Lily wheeled closer, her brown eyes serious beyond her 16 years. "Sofia, what does he want from you?" "Nothing. He's helping us. Nobody helps for free, especially not men like him." Before Sofia could respond, footsteps echoed on the stairs leading up to the apartment. Both sisters turned, as a man appeared in the doorway, not Moretti, but one of his men, the same one who'd helped remove Marcus from the library. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar running through his left eyebrow. "Miss Chen," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle for someone who looked like he could break a person in half. "I'm Marco Vitali. I'll be your primary contact for security purposes. If you need anything, groceries, transportation, anything at all, you call me." He handed her a phone. Brand new, still in the box. "This has my number programmed in. Also Mr. Moretti's direct line, though he prefers you go through me for routine matters." Sofia took the phone automatically. "Security purposes? Your apartment has a security system. I'll show you how it works. You'll also notice cameras at the main entrances to the property, though none in your private spaces." Marco's expression was neutral, professional. "Mr. Moretti takes the safety of his household very seriously." "So we're prisoners?" Lily asked sharply. Marco's expression softened slightly as he looked at the teenager in the wheelchair. "No, miss, you're protected. There's a difference. You can come and go as you please. We just need to know where you're going so we can ensure your safety." "That sounds like a prison." "Lily," Sofia warned. But Marco just smiled faintly. "I understand your concern, Miss Lily, and you're smart to be suspicious. But let me put it this way. Mr. Moretti has enemies, dangerous people who would love to hurt him by targeting people he cares about. You're living on his property now. That makes you a potential target whether you like it or not. The security isn't about controlling you, it's about keeping you alive." The bluntness of his words made both sisters fall silent. "People want to hurt us because we live here?" Sofia asked quietly. "People want to hurt anyone connected to Mr. Moretti, but they won't succeed." Marco's voice carried absolute certainty. "Not while we're watching." He spent the next 20 minutes showing them the security system, how to arm and disarm it, what the different alerts meant, emergency protocols. Then he showed them the panic buttons installed in each room, small and discreet but connected directly to his phone. "If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you push that button. We'll have people here in under 60 seconds. After Marco left, Sofia and Lily sat in their new living room, surrounded by moving boxes and uncomfortable truths. "We can leave," Sofia said quietly. "If you want, we can pack up right now and find somewhere else. I'll figure something out." Lily was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window at the garden below. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. "Do you feel safe here?" Sofia thought about Marcus's fist, about the fear that had paralyzed her, about Alessandro Moretti appearing like some dark guardian, making sure she was okay before anything else. "Yes," she admitted. "I do." "Then we stay." Lily looked at her sister. "But Sofia? Be careful. Men like Alessandro Moretti don't save people for free. Eventually, he's going to want something. And when he does..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Sofia's first day officially working for Alessandro Moretti began at 7 a.m. Monday morning. She'd been up since 5, changing outfits 3 times, trying to figure out what exactly one wore to work for a Mafia boss. Professional? Casual? Something in between? She'd finally settled on black slacks and a cream blouse, simple, neat, appropriate for managing a household staff. Lily was still asleep when Sofia left the apartment. Her sister had been exhausted the past few days, the stress of the move taking its toll, but their new place had already made a difference. Lily had slept through the night for the first time in a few weeks, probably because the bed was actually comfortable and the apartment stayed warm. The main house was a 15-minute walk through the garden. Sofia had expected something ostentatious, all marble columns and gold fixtures. Instead, Moretti's residence was surprisingly understated. A 3-story brick mansion that looked like it had been built in the 20s, with ivy climbing the walls and tall windows that caught the morning light. Marco met her at the staff entrance. "Morning, Miss Chen. Mr. Moretti is in his office but asked to see you before you start. I'll take you up." Sofia's stomach fluttered nervously as she followed Marco through the house. The interior was beautiful, hardwood floors, oriental rugs, art that looked old and expensive, but it felt lived in, comfortable. Not a showpiece. They stopped outside a closed door on the 2nd floor. Marco knocked once. "Come in." Alessandro Moretti's office was exactly what Sofia expected. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A massive mahogany desk. Leather chairs that looked like they cost more than her old car. Moretti himself stood at the window, looking out at the garden, wearing dark slacks and a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He turned when she entered, and Sofia felt that same jolt of awareness she'd experienced in the library. He was objectively handsome, strong features, dark eyes, the kind of presence that dominated a room. But it was more than that. There was intelligence in his gaze, calculation, like he was always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. "Sofia," he said, her name sounding different in his deep voice. "Welcome. Please, sit." She sat in one of the leather chairs, her hands folded in her lap to hide their trembling. Moretti settled into the chair across from her, not behind his desk, she noticed. Like he was trying to make this less intimidating. It didn't work. "How's your sister adjusting?" he asked. "She's good. The apartment it's more than we expected. Good. I want you both comfortable." He leaned back, studying her. "Before we discuss your responsibilities, I need to make sure you understand what working for me means. Okay, you'll manage my household staff, the cook, the cleaners, the gardeners. You'll coordinate schedules, handle supplies, make sure everything runs smoothly. It's similar to what you did for the Castellanos, just on a larger scale. You'll report directly to me." Sofia nodded. That all sounded reasonable. "However," Moretti continued, his voice taking on a more serious tone, "you'll also encounter things that might concern you. People coming and going at odd hours, conversations you don't understand, business that isn't your concern. Do you know what I'm saying? You're saying I'll see things related to your other business. Yes, and I need to know you can handle that. Can keep your mouth shut. Can understand that what happens in this house stays in this house." Sofia met his gaze. "Are you asking if I'll go to the police?" "I'm asking if you understand that discretion is the most important part of this job." "I understand." And she did. Alessandro Moretti was trusting her with access to his private life, his real business. That trust came with expectations. "I won't say anything to anyone. About anything." "Good." He stood, walking to his desk and pulling out a folder. "Your employment contract. Read it carefully. The salary is, as we discussed, twice what the Castellanos paid. Health insurance is comprehensive, covers everything including your sister's medication. No copays, no deductibles. There's also a discretionary fund for household expenses. You don't need approval for anything under $5,000. Sofia took the contract with shaking hands. The salary number made her dizzy. She'd never seen that many zeros on a paycheck before. "This is too much," she whispered. "It's fair compensation for the level of responsibility and discretion required." Moretti returned into his chair. "Read it over. If you have questions, ask. If you want a lawyer to review it, I'll arrange that. I want you to feel secure in this arrangement, Sofia. Not trapped." She looked up at him, surprised by the consideration in his voice. "Why do you care if I feel secure?" "Because people who feel trapped make stupid decisions. They run, or betray trust, or do things that put everyone in danger." His dark eyes held hers. "I don't want you to feel trapped. I want you to want to be here. And if I decide I don't, then you give me 2 weeks' notice and leave with a good reference." He smiled faintly, "Though I'd prefer you stay." Sofia spent the next hour reading the contract. It was surprisingly straightforward, no hidden clauses, no concerning language, just a clear outline of her duties, her compensation, and her rights. There was even a clause about termination that heavily favored her, giving her a generous severance package if she decided to leave. "Okay," she said, "finally. I'll sign." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." She signed on the dotted line, and with that signature, officially entered Alessandro Moretti's world. The first 2 weeks were surprisingly normal. Sofia's days fell into a comfortable rhythm. She'd wake early, check on Lily, then head to the main house to coordinate with the staff. The cook, Mrs. DeMarco, was a grandmother in her 60s who'd been with Moretti for 15 years. The cleaners were a rotating team of professionals who came 3 times a week. The gardeners maintained the grounds with military precision. Everyone was professional, respectful, and very, very careful never to ask questions about what Sofia had seen or heard, because Sofia did see things and hear things. Men in expensive suits arriving at odd hours, meeting with Moretti in his office for hours, conversations in Italian that stopped abruptly when she walked by, phone calls that Moretti took in hushed tones, his expression going cold and dangerous. Once, she'd seen Marco and 2 other men loading something heavy and tarp-covered into a van in the middle of the night. They'd seen her watching from her apartment window. Marco had texted her 30 seconds later, Everything's fine. Go back to sleep. She had. Because Sofia was learning the rules of this world. Don't ask questions, don't get involved, and trust that Moretti knew what he was doing. And despite everything, despite knowing what he was, what he did, Sofia found herself trusting him. He checked on her daily. Brief conversations in his office or passing encounters in the hallway. How was Lily feeling? Did Sofia need anything? Was she settling in okay? He asked about her sister's doctor's appointments, made sure Sofia had time off to take Lily to them. He arranged for a physical therapist to come to the apartment twice a week. He had the entire property assessed for wheelchair accessibility and made modifications without being asked. He's courting you, Lily said one night over. Dinner in their apartment. You realize that, right? He's being kind. Sofia, he bought you a better wheelchair for me. Top of the line. $15,000 custom model. That's not kind. I don't even know what that is. He's helping. Why? Lily set down her fork, her expression serious. I've been thinking about it, about why Alessandro Moretti would go to all this trouble for a maid he barely knows. And I think I figured it out. Lily, he likes you, not as an employee, as a woman. Sofia's cheeks flushed. That's ridiculous. He's barely spoken to me about anything personal. Exactly, because he's being careful. Because men like him don't court women normally. They can't just ask you to dinner or send you flowers. Everything they do is calculated. Lily leaned forward. Think about it. He rescued you from Marcus, gave you a job, gave us this apartment, makes sure we have everything we need. He's building trust, building loyalty, and when you finally feel safe enough, secure enough, that's when he'll make his move. You're imagining things. But even as Sofia said it, she couldn't shake the feeling that Lily might be right. Because when Alessandro Moretti looked at her, really looked at her, there was something in his eyes that had nothing to do with her job performance. Should I continue with part 3? Retry RW. The truth came crashing down on a cold November night, 3 weeks after Sofia had started working for Alessandro Moretti. She was in the main house kitchen, doing a final inventory check before heading back to her apartment, when she heard raised voices from Moretti's office upstairs. Not unusual, his business often involved intense conversations. But something about the tone made her pause, made her heart start racing with instinct she didn't understand. Then she heard the gunshot. Sofia's blood turned to ice. For a moment, she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then training she didn't know she had kicked in. She grabbed her phone, her fingers shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Before she could dial Marco's number, footsteps thundered down the stairs. Alessandro Moretti appeared in the kitchen doorway, his white shirt stained with blood, his face a mask of cold fury. Get to your apartment, he said, his voice deadly calm. Lock the doors. Don't come out until I call you. You're bleeding. It's not my blood. Go. Now. Sofia ran. She burst into her apartment to find Lily in the living room, her face pale. I heard a gunshot. What's happening? I don't know. Sofia locked the door, armed the security system, then pulled Lily away from the windows. We need to stay here. Stay quiet. They huddled together on the couch, listening to the sounds filtering up from the main house. More footsteps, car engines, voices speaking rapid Italian. Then, finally, silence. Sofia's phone buzzed. A text from Moretti. It's handled. You're safe. I'll explain tomorrow. But Sofia couldn't wait until tomorrow. Because as she sat there in the dark with her sister, she finally understood the full weight of what she'd gotten herself into. This wasn't just a job. This wasn't just protection. This was Alessandro Moretti's world, a world of violence and blood and danger that could reach her apartment at any moment. We have to leave, Lily whispered. Sofia, we have to get out of here. I know. But even as she said it, Sofia knew it wasn't that simple. Because leaving meant losing the insurance that kept Lily alive. Leaving meant going back to working 3 jobs and living paycheck to paycheck. Leaving meant being vulnerable to men like Marcus Castellano again. And leaving meant never seeing Alessandro Moretti again. That last thought shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Morning came too quickly. Sofia hadn't slept. She'd spent the night watching the windows, jumping at every sound, trying to process what had happened. By the time the sun rose, she'd made a decision. She needed answers. At 7 a.m., she left Lily sleeping and walked to the main house. Marco was standing guard at the entrance, looking exhausted but alert. He's expecting you, Marco said quietly. Office. Sofia climbed the stairs on shaking legs. The house looked normal, pristine, actually, like nothing had happened. But she could smell cleaning chemicals, could see where the hallway carpet looked slightly damp, and she knew they'd spent the night erasing evidence of whatever had occurred here. Moretti's office door was open. He sat at his desk, still wearing the blood-stained shirt from last night, though he'd cleaned his hands and face. He looked up when she entered, and something in his expression shifted. Sofia, you should be resting. What happened last night? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Who got shot? Moretti was quiet for a moment, studying her face. Then he stood and closed the door behind her. A business associate attempted to betray me, to sell information about my operations to a rival family. He was dealt with. Dealt with. You mean killed? Yes. The bluntness of his admission took her breath away. Sofia had known, of course, had understood intellectually what Alessandro Moretti was, but hearing him confirm it, standing in his office while he wore someone's blood on his shirt, made it viscerally real. In your house, she whispered. While Lily and I were here, you were never in danger. My men were with you the entire time. That's not the point. Sofia's voice rose. The point is that people die in your world, Alessandro. People get shot and killed, and I brought my sister into this. My 16-year-old sister who's sick and vulnerable and safer here than she's ever been. Moretti's voice was hard. You think the outside world is less dangerous? Marcus Castellano would have destroyed you both if I hadn't intervened. At least here, the danger is controlled, managed. Here, I can protect you. By killing people in the danger. Next room? By doing whatever is necessary to keep you safe. Sofia laughed, a bitter sound. You don't get it. I don't want to be kept safe by violence. I don't want to owe my life to a man who solves problems with bullets. Then what do you want? Moretti moved around the desk, closing the distance between them. Tell me, Sofia, what do you want? To go back to the Castellanos? To find another job where you work yourself to death? To live in fear of men like Marcus who think they can put their hands on you whenever they want? I want a normal life? There's no such thing. Not for people like us. I'm not like you. Aren't you? His dark eyes held hers. You've spent 3 weeks in my house. You've seen things, heard things. You know exactly what I am, what I do. And yet you're still here. You haven't called the police. Haven't run. Haven't betrayed me. Because I need the insurance for Lily. Is that the only reason? The question hung between them, heavy with implication. Sofia opened her mouth to say yes, to lie, to maintain the fiction that this was just a job. But the words wouldn't come, because the truth was more complicated, more dangerous. The truth was that somewhere over the past 3 weeks, she'd started to care about Alessandro Moretti, started to look forward to their brief conversations, started to feel safe in his presence despite knowing what he was capable of, started to understand that his violence wasn't random or cruel, it was calculated, purposeful, always in service of protecting what was his, and she was his, whether she wanted to admit it or not. I should go, Sofia said quietly. Don't. The single word stopped her. Moretti stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne beneath the copper scent of blood. Don't run from this, he said softly. Don't run from me. I know you're scared. I know last night was a wake-up call. But Sofia, everything I do, everything is about keeping you and your sister safe. That, the man who died, he was going to give information to the Volkov family, information that would have exposed this location, my security measures, everyone under my protection, including you. Sofia's breath caught. Me? You think my enemies don't know about you? The moment you started working for me, living on my property, you became a potential target. The only thing keeping you safe is that everyone knows I protect what's mine with lethal force. His hand came up, gently cupping her bruised cheek. The mark from Marcus had finally faded, but the memory remained. Last night wasn't about violence for its own sake. It was about sending a message. Anyone who threatens my people dies. That message keeps you alive. Tears burned behind Sofia's eyes. I hate that this is my life now. That Lily's life now. That we can't just be normal. I know. His thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped. But I can't change what I am, Sofia. I can only promise that while you're under my protection, nothing will hurt you. Not Marcus Castellano. Not rival families. Not anyone. What if you're what hurts me? The question made him freeze. For a moment, something vulnerable flashed across his face. Something almost like pain. Then you leave, he said quietly. You take your sister and you go. and I'll make sure you have everything you need. Money, security, references, whatever it takes for you to build a life somewhere else." He paused. "But I don't think I'm what you're afraid of, Sofia. I think you're afraid of how you feel about me." She wanted to deny it, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that she felt nothing, that this was just about survival and practicality. But Lily's words echoed in her mind. "He's courting you." "I can't," Sofia whispered. "I can't be with someone like you. Someone who kills to protect you. Who would burn down the entire city to keep you safe." Moretti's voice was intense. "I'm not asking you to love what I do, Sofia. I'm asking you to trust, and that everything I do is for you, for your sister, for the people I've decided to protect." "Why me?" The question burst out. "Why do you care so much about a maid you barely know?" "Because when I saw Marcus hit you, when I heard you whisper, 'Please don't hit me again,' like you'd accepted that violence was just part of your life." He stopped, his jaw clenching. "Something in me decided right then. Not you. Not anymore. You'd been hurt enough. And I was going to make sure no one ever hurt you again." Sofia felt something crack open in her chest. All the walls she'd built, all the defenses she'd maintained, crumbling under the weight of his words. "I'm terrified of you," she admitted. "Good. That means you're smart." He smiled faintly. "But are you terrified of me, or terrified of admitting you trust me?" Sofia didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because he was right. Somewhere between the library and the gunshot and the 3 weeks of careful protection, she'd started trusting Alessandro Moretti. Started believing that his violence was for her, not against her. Started understanding that men like him didn't protect people casually. They protected what they claimed as theirs. And she was his. "I need time," Sofia said finally. "To think. To process all of this. Take all the time you need." Moretti stepped back, giving her space. "But know this, Sofia. I'm not going anywhere, and neither is my protection. Whether you accept me or not, you're safe here. Always." 2 days later, everything changed again. Sofia was in the garden with Lily, watching her sister do physical therapy exercises in the November sunshine when Marco appeared. His expression was grim. "Sofia, you need to come with me, now." "What's wrong?" "Marcus Castellano just posted your address on social media. Every location this estate, your apartment, everywhere. He's calling you Moretti's whore and saying anyone who wants to hurt Alessandro should start with you." Sofia's blood ran cold. "What?" A post went up 20 minutes ago. We're already getting threats. Someone tried to access the property 10 minutes ago. Mr. Moretti wants you and your sister in the secure room until we handle this." The secure room? Safe room. Panic room. Whatever you want to call it. Marco was already moving, his hand on Sofia's arm. "Underground, fully stocked, impenetrable. You'll be safe there while we deal with the situation." "Lily, I'm scared," her sister said, her face pale. "I know, baby, but we're going to be okay. Marco's going to keep us safe." They were hustled into the main house, down a hidden staircase Sofia had never noticed, into a room that looked like a luxury bunker. Comfortable furniture, a kitchenette, monitors showing security camera feeds from around the property. "Stay here," Marco said. "Don't open the door for anyone except Mr. Moretti or me. There's a phone that connects directly to us. Use it if you need anything." Then he was gone, sealing them inside. Lily immediately wheeled to one of the monitors, her eyes wide. "Sofia, look." The screen showed men in dark suits patrolling the property. Armed men. At least a dozen of them, moving with military precision. And on the perimeter cameras, Sofia could see vehicles circling, people with cameras, maybe even people with worse intentions. "This is because of me," Sofia whispered. "Marcus did this because of me." "No, he did this because he's a vindictive asshole who can't accept consequences." Lily grabbed her hand. "This isn't your fault." But it felt like her fault. Felt like her presence in Alessandro's life had painted a target on everyone she loved. They waited in the bunker for hours. On the monitors, they watched Marco and the other men deal with attempted intrusions. Watched police arrive to disperse the crowd gathering outside the gates. Watched the sun set and security lights flare to life. Finally, the door opened. Alessandro Moretti stepped inside, and Sofia's breath caught. He looked exhausted, dangerous, and furious all at once. But when his eyes found her, some of the tension left his shoulders. "You're okay," he said. "Not a question. A statement of fact. like he'd needed to confirm it with his own eyes. "We're fine. What's happening out there?" "It's handled. The social media posts have been taken down. Marcus Castellano is currently in police custody for inciting violence and making terroristic threats. His father is cooperating fully with authorities." Moretti's voice was ice. "And I've made it very clear to every person who matters in this city that anyone who threatens you answers to me." "Alessandro, no." He moved closer, his dark eyes burning. "No more running, Sofia. No more pretending this is just a job or that you're just my employee. Marcus Castellano just declared you my weakness. Every enemy I have now knows hurting you is the way to hurt me, and that means you need to be more than protected. You need to be untouchable." "What does that mean?" "It means you marry me." Sofia's world tilted. "What?" "Marry me. Become my wife. Not just someone under my protection, but family. The moment you're Mrs. Moretti, you have the full weight of my name, my organization, my power behind you. No one will dare touch you because you'll be mine in every way that matters." "That's insane," Lily breathed from her wheelchair. "That's survival," Moretti countered. "Sofia, I know this is fast. I know you barely know me. But Marcus just showed us that halfway measures don't work. You can't be adjacent to my world. You're either fully in it or you're vulnerable. And I won't let you be vulnerable." Sofia's mind raced. Marriage. To Alessandro Moretti. To a mafia boss who'd killed for her. Who'd upended his business deals for her. Who'd just proven he'd go to war to keep her safe. It was crazy. Impossible. Everything she'd never wanted. And yet, if I say yes, Sofia said slowly, it can't be fake. I won't be some trophy or shield. If I marry, to you, it's real, equal partnership. I get a say in decisions that affect me and Lily. And you don't make me into someone I'm not. Something fierce and possessive flashed in Moretti's eyes. Deal. And you don't kill people in our house anymore. I can't promise that, Alessandro. I can promise I'll try to keep the violence away from you. But Sofia, I can't promise I'll never have to kill to protect this family. That's not realistic. He cupped her face in both hands. What I can promise is that I'll never hurt you, never lie to you, never make you feel small or afraid. And I'll spend every day for the rest of my life making sure you and Lily are safe, happy, and free to be exactly who you are. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story. Tears streamed down Sofia's face. This is crazy. Yes, I barely know you. You know enough. You know I'll protect you. You know I'll fight for you. You know I'll burn down the world before I let anyone hurt you. His thumbs wiped away her tears. And I think you know you're not afraid of me anymore. He was right. Somewhere between the gunshot and the bunker and his fury at Marcus's betrayal, Sofia had stopped being afraid. Because she'd finally understood. Alessandro Moretti's violence wasn't something she needed to fear. It was something that protected her. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay? I'll marry you. Real partnership. Real marriage. No more halfway." The smile that broke across Alessandro's face transformed him. For just a moment, he looked young, almost vulnerable, like a man who'd just been given something he'd wanted but never expected to receive. Then he pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It was nothing like Sofia had imagined. Not rough or demanding, but gentle, almost reverent. Like he was afraid she might break. Like she was something precious he'd been trusted to hold. When they finally broke apart, Lily cleared her throat. "So, I'm still here. Your 16-year-old soon-to-be sister-in-law, who just watched that whole thing." Alessandro actually laughed and pulled back from Sofia. "Sorry, Lily. Got carried away." Clearly. But Lily was smiling. "For the record, if you hurt my sister, wheelchair or not, I'll find a way to make you pay." Noted. Alessandro's expression turned serious. "And for the record, I consider you my family now too. Which means you're under the same protection as Sofia. No one touches either of you. Ever." Epilogue. 6 months later. The wedding was small, private. Just family and Alessandro's most trusted men. Nothing like the society spectacle the Castellanos would have thrown. Sofia wore a simple white dress. Lily was her maid of honor. Looking healthy and strong, the new treatment protocol Alessandro's doctors had found was working better than anything they'd tried before. When Alessandro slipped the ring on Sofia's finger, when he promised to love and protect her for the rest of their lives, Sofia felt something she'd thought she'd lost forever. Hope. They honeymooned in Italy, in a villa overlooking the Mediterranean. For 2 weeks, Sofia saw a different side of her husband, the man beneath the Mafia boss. They walked through olive groves, ate dinner under the stars, talked about everything and nothing, and when they returned to Chicago, to the estate that was now truly her home, Sofia felt something she'd never expected to feel again. Safe. Not because the danger was gone. Alessandro's world would always be dangerous, but because she finally understood that his violence, his power, his ruthlessness, it was all aimed outward, protecting the people he loved, and she was loved. Marcus Castellano spent 6 months in jail for his threats. When he was released, he left Chicago entirely, his family's reputation, his trust fund cut off by a father who'd finally had enough. Antonio Castellano sent a wedding gift, a simple card that read, "Thank you for teaching my son consequences. I'm sorry it took so long." Sofia framed it. Because that's what her life had become. Impossible contradictions that somehow made sense. A mafia boss who brought her coffee every morning. A dangerous man who read bedtime stories to her sister. A world of violence that had given her the safest home she'd ever known. Regrets? Alessandro asked one night as they sat in their bedroom, the city glittering outside their window. Sofia thought about the scared woman who'd knelt on a marble floor, begging not to be hit again. Thought about the journey from that moment to this one. From victim to survivor, to something more. Something stronger. No, she said, curling into his arms. No regrets. Because Alessandro Moretti had done exactly what he'd promised. He'd made sure no one would ever push her down again. And, in return, she'd given him something he'd never had before. A home, a family, a reason to be more than just dangerous. They'd saved each other. And that, Sofia thought as she drifted off to sleep in the arms of the most dangerous man in Chicago, was the greatest love story of all. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel.